Barua toka Jaramogi na Kenyatta, wanauliza kama Kenya kuko sawa. Nikawajibu Kenya tuko na disaster, watoto wetu wanazidi kuzikana. Na Tomboya ameshika tama, alituacha kama angali kijana. Je, angekuwa mambo yangekuwa sawa? Ndivyo walivyopanga Maulana. Deni mulizoacha bado tunalipa, na tumekopa zingine China. Tukajenga reli pia barabara, zilizobaki watu wakasanya. So tujiangalie, tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana. Sikio la kufa halisikii dawa, tuko kwa Twitter tunajibizana. Tujiangalie bade, tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana. Tusipoziba ufa tutajenga kuta, tusake zetu tungali vijana. Waumini kwa matrina, pasi kwa bima, kushoto fungu la 10 sadaka kulia. Ndio maana mbele ya kanisa mheshimiwa anakula sakramenti kabla ya raia. Siku za mwisho zimeshawadia, na revelation inatuambia hii generation inachoma picha. Ni generation yetu, so tujiangalie. Tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana, sikio la kufa halisikii dawa. Tuko kwa Twitter tunajibizana. Tujiangalie, tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana. Tusipoziba ufa tutajenga kuta, tusake zetu tungali vijana. Mishuki alisema tufungeni mikanda, ona leo twavuna tulichopanda. Kura zetu zilitugawanya, makabila na pesa pia tulimanga. So when you make your bed, usingizi gani tumelala? Tutajua tujui, Vision 2030 tabaki ni story. Tujiangalie, tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana. Sikio la kufa halisikii dawa, tuko kwa Twitter tunajibizana. Tujiangalie, tuko pabaya leo kuliko jana. Tusipoziba ufa tutajenga kuta, tusake zetu tungali vijana. Dosi aliniambianga freedom never comes for free. We vote tribe ama real cash, ask Boni. Tuna Roma lia mwezi tajesu plus dogi. Wal mzima Twitter keotindo fast body. Ban pictures in Africa, black coffee and none. I'm richer than my neighbor but we're both in a slum. If the rich always win, why should the popular run? Unless democracy ni what you say my only for fun. Na hii weekend tuko church, tunauza sura kabisa. Post ya haga wenda poa sana na caption ya scripture. Kayo ndo gospel, pitisha bagi ya sadaka kwa club, yeah. Traffic madragu baindai, traffic mandai zina drag. Kwa maya mwizi ya memeki, stories za shamba ame grab. Kono inahonga imevaa, bracelet ya color za flag, yeah.
Alright, tujiangalie. Indeed, a very good morning to you. Asante sana kwa kujumuika na sisi this morning. This is a Thursday. Is it Thursday? The Thursday of 15th October 2020. 15 October 2020. Karibu kwa tackle ya leo. Today's tackle inaanza sasa hivi. Poleni tumechelewa kidogo. Kulikuwa na masaibu hapa na pale, lakini sisi hao we are back here. Thank you so much. Kama kawaida, please when you join in, like when you like, get to know you watching us, and share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch a broadcast. Nimeona jamaa ametangulia leo kwa siku ya pili, anaitwa Jim Olela. Namba 1 anaitwa Jim Olela, anasema good morning. Muita Mwangi anasema morning. Collins Misoike anasema good morning. Ezekiel King anasema one on one from Sydney, Australia. Thank you so much. Nicholas Adema anasema jambo. Kiengo Benson anasema good morning. Evans Boyo anasema morning. William Mwangi, good morning. Late today tuned in from Motawala. Poleni sana. Saidi Peter anasema following from Malaba. Thank you Jakama Senior, good morning fam. Asante. Manu Kamara anasema ako Turkana. Philemon Kosgea anasema morning from Kericho. Chumchum Bena anasema hello ndani ya show. Hiyo ni Josephat Kibiego. David Kamau anasema kweli the tackle mnatesa. Good morning to you. Tagana KE anasema already live waiting for this great show. Thank you. Kishiki Sairasiki anasema good morning to you sir. Veronica anasema good morning Lucia hajafika kwa mlima kidogo. Osia Bedef anasema morning Gerald BITOK Lucia and all fans. Thank you so much. Vincent Tiropa anasema locked. Chumchumbe anasema UK tuned in. Asante sana watu wa UK. Tagana KE anasema morning sir. Patrick Ngura anasema this is my show every day. Thank you so much. On the Julius Fama anasema present sir. Betty and K anasema good morning. Takwelas tuned in from Takwelas Kiambu. Jana Ngonyiri alitwita Takwel. All right. David Kamau anasema waiting and watching. Asante sana. Rogers Kigena anasema tuned in. Nur Sini anasema morning team Takwel. Thank you. Millicent Tiropa anasema what is ndio sisi. Emmanuel anasema good morning to watching you live from Nairobi Ngong Road. Salute. Asante sana. Gavin anasema tuned in bro from Mambo of Champions. Hila anasema morning sir. Zakwa Arsenal anasema Mwea tuned in. Thank you Walter Kipruta. Good morning Takwel. Tuned in from Mwea Kirinyaga. Hila anasema present from Kajiado County Cleophas and Arab Macau anasema morning Gerald. I'm happy to see you safe. Tackle iko imara. Keep travel locked as always. Tuko salama. No Drift Mira anasema live from Eldoret, live from the City of Champions. Ondari Seriba anasema Thursday. Yes, it is a Thursday. Alright. Tarehe 15. Steven Flames anasema tuko ndani na wakilisha Asla Nation from Thika. Chepkwe mwenye anasema good morning. Good morning to you Chepkwe. Sami Best anasema morning from Perth, Australia. Watu wa the land down under. Asante sana. Ondari Seriba anasema watching from Saudi Arabia. Ari Junior Boy anasema Ari Borom from Westlands tuned in. Sema ukweli mumechelewa sana. Poleni sana. Timothy Kipina anasema falling from Kikuyu. Mike Tanu anasema I'm off to bed. Tackles, have a great Tackles day San Antonio, Texas. Asante sana. QS Mwangi Kikuyu anasema good morning 20 first Kigan anasema representing Aslan Nation from Eldoret. Nick Kagan Kipchirchi anasema watching from Kilimani. Asante sana Nick Kagan. Roberto Paul Sija anasema good morning blessed day I had to call out. Asante Marian Jerry anasema good morning people tuned in. Anasema yuko tuned in from Mombasa 001. Ibrahim D veteran anasema morning from Australia. Kauti Kimgati Ngeno anasema morning. Kiige Samuel anasema Nakuru town tuned. Danielson Kips anasema tuned in from Doha Qatar. Jay Ogon anasema tuned in from Bridgewater USA. Mangi Njuki anasema morning. Kenny Waters anasema streaming from Bomer County. Charity Getu anasema good morning tuned in from Kericho. Hey Charo. Alright. Kavindo anasema Alaska niko ndani kabisa. Happy birthday na upewe mbili kwa bili yangu. Hata sitaki hata kuona hata moja, hata na mbili. Kiburi anasema morning too. I didn't have bundles yesterday. Happy belated birthday sir. Tuned in from Mombasa. Sasa sana Milton anasema tuned in from Kampala Uganda. Bennett anasema ameamusha Elder kiongozi Karanja. Wewe ndio utaomba leo Lucia hajafika. Alright. Kabla tujaenda sana acha nirushe kwa Muchendu. Muchendu anakuwa kijana ya pastor. Muchendu. Tuombe kwanza ndio tuanze kazi.
Hi, good morning. We want to say hi to every tackler out there. And we also want to apologize for coming in late. Hizi vitu happen.
Kabisa.
Shall we pray?
Yes, please.
Father Lord, we want to thank you this morning. We want to honor you because of giving us an opportunity to be here. Lord, we pray that you shall guide us even as we embark on a discussion for today. You shall guide us, you shall help us to articulate issues as they should be. And then as we come to the end of the show, we shall be careful to give you glory and to give you honor. In Jesus' name we give thanks.
Asante sana.
Amen.
Muchendu, umepotea sana, ulikuwa umeenda wapi?
Sijapotea sana. You know, we always have personal issues hapa na pale to deal with. This week is a very sad week for us.
Pole sana.
In the village. On Monday we woke up to a friend of mine ameporomokewa na kware.
Pole sana.
So we had to retrieve the body and eventually did what was necessary and we are laying him to rest today. So immediately nimetoka hapa tunaenda kuzika rafiki yangu anaitwa Mukuria. And to the family we say pokeeni pole zetu. God knows best. We have also lost a fellow church member the day before yesterday. Anaitwa Mama Waithera, been battling cancer. So ametuacha on Tuesday, alituacha. And we also want to pass our condolences to that family. And we shall be with them as they continue mourning their mom. BITOK, before we start, I have some good news for all the women out there. And I am going to read as it is sent to me by my friend, and he's a takra anaitwa Betty and K. I think umemuona hapo.
Umemuona kutoka Thika.
Yes, and the message reads as follows. Do you know of any woman in Kenya suffering from 1, VESCO, that is vagina fistula, recto, it's also vagina fistula, ureteric fistula, 3rd degree perennial tear, 4th degree perennial tear. These ones, you know, hii kizungu ni ngumu.
Soma na Kikuyu.
Rectocele, severe stress, urinary inconsistence, causing inconsistence of urine or stool or both, and they need surgery.
Yes.
And they will get it absolutely free of charge.
Bure bilasha.
Yeah, kuna kitu nalipa. This lady called Betty and K, ama best known as Betty Kasioka, is the nursing director of Kiambu County Health Services.
Wow, amazing.
And has been in the forefront dealing with the fistula issue. And she's been helping women. These are some of the conditions that make most women feel like they cannot be in public, feel ashamed of themselves. And now we are giving you a solution. These are issues that can be fixed free of charge. Kindly take the following number, or if you know somebody who is suffering from that, mpatie hii number na atapatiwa surgery absolutely free of charge. The number is 0725 911515. I repeat, 0725 911515 or 0780 911515. I repeat, 0780 911515. Call that number and you will get the help you deserve. We will probably be putting up this later in our page, so that tusaidia wamama huko nje, so that they can no longer feel ashamed about themselves. Otherwise, I'm glad to be back at the taco. Yes.
All right. Sasa tuko na mgeni hapa anaitwa Wandia Njoya. Unajua huyo ndio mgeni sasa, huwezi introduce, wewe ni jangili wa taco. Wandia. Sasa
poa sana.
Ana tu na smile tu vizuri. Hapa jamaa wanafanyanga beating. Kwa nini?
I was so scared because I thought BITOK will tackle me and I don't know whether I'll be able to manage.
You know, this was my birthday, so I'm very docile today. Zina mambo mingi, I'm not going to tackle anybody. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Kindly, I'll give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. Wewe ni nani? Unafanyanga nini?
Okay.
Na mambo kama hayo.
Okay, my name is Wandia Njoya. I am a teacher. I think I
Mwalimu.
Yes. Mwalimu wito teacher.
Good morning teacher. Wewe unajua Muchendu anafaa kuimbia hiyo.
Mwalimu wako teacher we. Haria tugasema niyo menye nonga kisi.
Lakini kuna ile nyingine ya Naivasha. Ilikuwa inaitwa nini? Ile safari ya Naivasha. Ilikuwa kuna mwingine ya safari ya Naivasha ya teacher. Kwa sema sijui good morning teacher. I have what?
Hiyo sijui.
Muchendu inafaa juu.
Nilisahau hizi vitu tulikuwa unajua sisi tumesomea polling stations.
Wandia hata sidhani kama Wandia alienda group of schools. Sidhani kama so Wandia wewe ni mwalimu wapi?
Daystar University. That's where I teach. Yeah.
Sasa wao wenye wanafunzanga university wanaitwa lecturers. Walimu. They are not called teachers. They are called lecturers, doctari.
Doctari.
So when doctari.
But I like to call myself a teacher. Yes, because my heart is just for learners, whether they are 2 years old or 95. Yeah.
Najua this week nimekuwa nikifanywa affirmative action. Women have been surrounding me all over there. You know, all week I've been having women guess. So I say, all right, let me fix it that way. Anyway. Okay. So what are the kind of what are some of your interests in this nation? Unaanga pale Twitter unacheza kama wewe.
My biggest concerns are health and education, because I believe that you can't have a good country when people are not healthy and when they are not educated. Those two are my bottom line. Then everything else is just, sometimes I'm interested I also follow policy quite a bit. These days I've also started taking an interest in the economy, but not from the side of Kinandi with the numbers and the big things, but just how work. How could I forget work? Yeah, work is a very, very important thing for me. I even have a YouTube channel on that.
Amazing. So unafunzanga nini, madam?
Literature most of the time.
Literature. Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. Muchendu hapa ile kitu Muchendu anafunzanga, sijui Muchendu anafunzanga ni ukarabati, unafunzanga Kiambu.
BITOK. Teaching is a calling, something I know I don't have. I attempted to teach. The year 2000, was it after the elections skirmishes, 2008. The school that was last in Kiambu County happened to have been in my village, called the Gio Primary School. So me and some other friend decided so we can be able to pick up the challenge and speak to the school and see how we can do it. So I did it 1 year. It was 1 year of struggle, 1 year of dealing with kids that were thick-headed, just like I was in school. And that 1 year made me appreciate teachers, those who teach with passion, those who teach with a lot of love, because it's a difficult job. So mimi na kufunza tuko hivi. Ikienda left, naenda right.
Unakura kona?
Hapana. We want to deal with delicate issues like governance, where hakuna kusihi mtu. If you don't comply, we deal with you head on.
Una deal na wewe. Unakanyagana na kuna hiyo imbo nilikuwa naambia ndio hii hapa. Unajua nawachezee msikie hii kitu inasemanga namna gani. Lakini ya jamaa waliendaje kunaitwa ni one man.
Nimejua bwana.
Yes. Inafaa Wandia
inaibangwa kicountry music.
Watu wanaitwa nani? Anaitwa Salim Junior mwenyewe.
Salim Junior.
Yaani lazima mwanzange wimbo kusema na wega kwanza. If it is not wega, what happens?
Mbaya kama ni mbaya.
Sasa jamaa Salim Junior alikuwa anaimba mambo ya safari ya Naivasha ya mwalimu. Mwalimu. Alikuwa anatoa nini? Kaora mwalimu. Alright guys, alright. So, Wandia, wewe ni mwalimu. Wamesema watoto warudi shule. Wewe unafikiria watoto warudi shule ama tuendelee kukaa na watoto nyumbani?
Your story, be imagine I don't have an opinion either way. Actually. Yeah. I think it was already bad before COVID. So now I don't know.
It's now even worse.
Yeah. You see, all the things which I used to say we should do, if we had been doing them, we wouldn't be in this problem today. One of the things we needed to do was to involve teachers a little bit more in asking them how, and communities, asking them how to manage schools and make sure students are learning. So if we didn't do that, now we are paying the price for running everything from Jogoo House. That's our biggest problem. You cannot run an education system from Nairobi. Yeah.
Huwezi endesha masomo ukiwa Nairobi.
Hapana.
So were you involved as teachers? Were you involved as teachers?
You know me now, I'm in the university, so they never come to us. But from what I hear the teachers saying, you know, they are just given orders and told come to school, here's a new syllabus, you know, and nobody ever says, you know, what can teachers do? And nobody allows teachers to be creative. So this was a time we needed creativity so that teachers can, depending on the schools and the situations, teachers can suggest good things like, let's have people come for 1 hour or this. Let's have group work. Let's have, you know, there are so many things you can do. But because we are waiting for orders from Nairobi and from Magoha, then, you know, kitaumana, it will always be like this, from chaos to crisis to chaos to crisis. Yeah, until we sort this thing out.
So you feel there wasn't enough consultation?
Yeah.
All right. So unaona mashule bado zibaki.
Sio ati even consultation. You know, let people contribute. I think that is it. Let teachers and communities suggest what can be done in their local school. You just need to take a health officer to explain this is the issue, this is the distance people must keep, tell us what you think is the best way for kids to come back. Then the community can tell you. At least they can give some ideas, the teachers can give some ideas. But now, you know,
hata tayari umeshachoka. Naona
kabisa,
umeshoka.
nimechoka
Mwalimu,
sana.
usishoke kawara mwalimu. Muchendu. No handshake for DP.
In fact,
juzi ilisemekana ya kwamba rais na naibu wake wanataka kuunganishwa. Naona ODM wamesema there's no handshake, no handshake, no handshake.
I think any handshake for the DP with either Raila Odinga or the president will be catastrophic for him. He is better off without either of them.
Okay.
You see, Uhuru, come 2022, he's going home.
Who told you?
I hope so.
He's going home.
Yeah, who told you?
Unless he has plans to actually rape our constitution or mutilate it, he is going home. Yeah, 2022. Yeah, you know, by the thought of anybody saying he is too young to retire, I can hata naweza anguka tu saizi nikisikia ati. Let me tell you, Raila Odinga is 70 what? 78. That guy right now, it is his good time to take care of the Wajuku, the grandchildren. I'm sure he has several. And even if he may not have the brothers and the sisters have several, it is time for him to retire. Akule ile mali yote amekuwa akitafuta hiyo miaka yote. Uhuru Kenyatta is going to retire 2022. The family has vast interest in so many businesses. He can now coordinate private and personal businesses after 2022. So why would Ruto want a handshake with Raila Odinga or Uhuru Kenyatta? It is evidence that Uhuru Kenyatta lost grip of the mountain long ago. He cannot commandeer the mountain in its entirety. So why are you having a handshake with him? Are you having a handshake with him so that you can get the support of the few sycophants that are surrounding the president? Because that is the major problem with the government of Uhuru Kenyatta. It is surrounded by sycophants. And then sycophants have built a battalion of social media commentators who I am reliably told they get paid 527 shillings a day.
Ajafika 530?
Hapana, 520. You know,
withdrawal ilipanda.
Hawawezi lipwa. They cannot be paid money that can go to a level of attracting tax. So lazima walipwe kitu kidogo kwa sababu hawa jamaa hawajazoea kulipa tax. So they pay them money that cannot attract any amount of tax. Because you see, 527 is tax free. And I think it is shared through M-Pesa or something.
Haina ushuru.
Haina ushuru hiyo. So, as I'm saying, Mr. William Samoei Ruto Daktari is better off without any of the handshake. Surely, are you doing a handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta so that Murathe can come to your side? Or the Nyeri women rep, sorry, not women rep, Nyeri MP member of parliament, Gujiri.
Are you sure that was not intentional?
It was not intentional, but I confused him with the women rep because the behavior pattern of the women rep of Nyeri and the MP for Nyeri town is probably one and the same.
All right.
Yes.
Wandia, unaona muuliza ulisikia wapi? Unaona rais anaenda bado yuko area. Should they shake hands with this deputy president once more?
I don't know what to think about this man. First of all, why are they negotiating with over what? What are they exchanging? You see? And many of them are making the assumption that because I am here, this is the support I will get. Why are you making those assumptions? So the fact that they're even trading with each other over things they cannot guarantee, that already makes me annoyed. Because people should not be going and saying, I have this vote. I haven't voted. 2022 hasn't come. So why are you trading with my vote and I haven't given it to you and you haven't even asked me? And we haven't even been asked. So I don't know what they are trading over or whether it is theirs to trade with. So these handshakes are between, those are club matters.
Mambo ya bar.
Mambo ya bar na golf club. That's not, it has nothing to do with us. But also I think we need to appreciate that one of the things they're haggling over is international credibility. So you see now they have to sort of sikizana so that when the next Godek or whoever comes and says, now boys, decide what you want. At least now they have one person.
I like the way you're putting it. I don't know now.
So that's what it's about, and that's what's annoying. So I think most of these negotiations they are doing are not about us. It's about their interest, their property, and international recognition. As we are there to now put our bodies on the line when the decisions are made, and New York Times needs a story to tell. So we go.
That's where you come in.
That's where we come in to take our bodies carrying githeri to the polling stations.
And that's how to do hashtags.
And do hashtags.
And the thing is, Wandia, the government is saying it's mulling over returning the curfews and movement restrictions. At the same time, it's saying they're going to open schools. That was big. That was big much.
I think it was Ogada, my friend Ogada, who said they are listening to the Ministry of CNN. I don't think they really know what they are doing, or they have a principle of this is what we are doing. They are just seeing Boris Johnson open the school, even us, let's open the school. So I don't think there's really any theoretical or engaged thinking about what is it that we want. So they're just reacting.
BITOK, you saw some photos going around yesterday from Western Kenya. Class 4 student being made to sit on the floor. And then I asked myself, surely, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the other day, you were seen inspecting some desks. And Magoha has been on the mic and on live TV speaking on how prepared the Ministry of Education is in opening of schools. Then we wake up to see our class 4 kids sitting on the floor. It is a shame. It is uncalled for a kid who is born in Kenya, a kid who has parents, a kid who was asked to report to school by the ministry to go and report and sit down on the floor. That is, I was looking at the preparedness of the UK and some states in the US on the opening of schools. Those people have done a thorough investigation, come up with a comprehensive, as much as they may be first world, they have come up with a comprehensive school return program. In this country, Makoha just sits there and say, go to school.
On Monday?
Yes. Baringo schools are submerged in water. Where do you expect those kids to go? Today, Baringo, I was watching news yesterday, Baringo mixed secondary school is all of it submerged with water. How do you expect over 200 students who are in Form 4, where are they going back to school? what measures have you taken? Have you come up with temporary plans to ensure those kids comply with the regulations and the requirements? You see, this is what I agree with her, that you need to incorporate teachers in the decision-making hierarchy. You need to, you know, in Kenya we have we led by the president, we have a system of where, have you ever heard when Uhuru is giving the speech? I have this morning directed, I have this morning instructed. But as you're giving those instructions, have you ensured that the necessary requirement to ensure your instruction and your directions are going to be delivered to the letter? Have you made it possible? You see, and I told you here last time, nilikwambia BITOK mukacheka hapa sana na Dr. Ojoang, that it is not a surprise that only schools in Nairobi will be prepared. Kwa sababu minister anaweza toka Jogoo House akibie Moi Avenue, anaweza enda Thika Road, anaweza. So those schools are going to be prepared because they are within reach. It will not surprise me to hear in Turkana kids are still under the tree.
But you see,
2020.
And this is why I really support BITOK and this show. You see, the kind of questions the media ask, they don't ask those questions. Tena, you know, anytime government says, I have directed, in fact, I was telling my students the other day, a government official just comes and says, 10 million shillings has been done, this, that, for this, that. And we don't ask, first of all, was that project necessary? 2, where is that 10 million shillings going? 3, is it going to have the impact that we want? And the media never asks those questions. They just report, in fact, they report the statement as it was written by the PR person who gave the press the statements. So that's how you have, I have directed my government, I have ordered I don't know who, so and so. And then Kenyans, we think that is the exactly, that what somebody has said is what is going to happen. These people are not God. They do not pronounce the waters to part and the waters part. It doesn't work like that. Your story near Exodus. But now when somebody says 10 million, this, first of all, money is not the equivalent of a program. So we have to ask, what program is this and where is it happening and will it work? And then you send people there or you call people from there to ask, is it happening? Those are the questions that Kenyans don't ask. And for me, that's an education problem. So that's where I was telling you that for me, I approach politics from education. These kinds of questions are a problem with education. We are not teaching people to ask. We are teaching people to like big words and big announcements. And not ask things about reality. And like I'm fighting even now with my students because they don't want to talk about reality. They want to give me work that sounds like a World Bank paper. And I'm telling them, no, I want you to talk about where the things you see, the things you are thinking about. Talk
Kwanza
about
Wandia,
that.
niliona kuna watoto walipigwa spray kama ng'ombe huko.
Imagine, kama cattle dip.
Sasa wanaume sasa tutatengenezea shimo ya kurukia ndani. Kama mademo na spray hivyo, sisi wanaume.
Imagine. And did you see they were just they were just walking. They are sprayed.
I'm asking myself. The other day I was in Tigoni COVID Center, Kiambu COVID Center, and they were spraying. Number one, the smell of the chemical that was being sprayed there at Tigoni, very bad smell. Number two, by mistake, part of that spray came to my arms, and I could not stop scratching myself the entire day because it was itch. Then I see on TV somebody spraying our girls with the same kind of chemical. I mean, surely, kwani hawa ni nguruwe ama ni ng'ombe ama ni watoto wetu wanafanywa hivyo? And then I was asking myself, it was so humiliating. It is a man who was doing it to girl child. It was so humiliating for me. And I think as our guest has said, It is not just issuing directives. Wewe tulikuwa hapa na wewe wakati president alisema investigation ya COVID billionaire ifanywe within how many days? 24 days. Do you know today we are the what? And nothing happened. I told you our president and his PR person are very good at coming to the podium and giving big words, giving big instructions, and then they will strive to do what they do best. Which is tarudi huko mahali walikuwa, wengine wanaenda kusanitize. And Kenyans are treated to these suckers, but they cannot ask. But I will also tell you, the reason why Kenyans are being told that we need a constitutional movement and some of them are jumping up and down, it is because they have not been empowered to first of all understand the constitution they have today. It is what? We have not done enough civic education to our people to know how to ask questions. I'll give you an example. Most counties, as I'm talking to you today, they are collecting tax illegally. Every county to be able to collect tax has to have something called the finance bill. Most counties, I can the last count I did was 22 counties, to be precise, do not have a finance bill. Now, the County Government Act is very clear that within 90 days of passing the fiscal act, that is now, once you pass a budget, it becomes the appropriation act. Once you pass the budget, within 90 days of passing the appropriation act, you should have a finance bill that actually outlines the tax measures the county should take. Today, most counties, 22 to be precise for now, are collecting tax without finance bill, because most of the budget were passed in June. So it says within 3 months you should have a finance bill to be able to collect tax. And if you do not have a finance bill, any member of the public can walk into a court and declare that whatever you are correcting is illegal. So because our people do not have the civic education to understand this, yes, this government continues to rape its citizen. It continues to milk its citizen illegally without the backing of the law. But we continue sitting there. It is like the way in school we were whipped by teachers. You can't run. You get whipped. You move your hands. You then put them again and you get whipped. That is what this government is
what is happening in this country.
This is what is happening in this country.
And that's why the education system is like that.
Yes.
It is to humiliate people until by the time they become adults, they can't ask questions. And for me,
like
that
Muchendu
is why
now,
I'm
ask
fighting.
Questions.
Exactly.
Muchendu,
that's why I'm always making noise about education, because half of these things that we are seeing as adults started when in the schools. The brutality, the humiliation, telling children and young people that they can't ask questions, they must accept. So that doesn't stop at it because people have finished school. It continues into political life.
So we also need to educate these adults.
Yeah. In fact, Kenyan adults are too traumatized. I don't know whether they can especially
understand.
the ones who went to school. They're even worse.
Wakona shida kubwa.
Kabisa.
You know, let me tell you, it's something we struggle with. I remember back in 2014, I joined friends of mine. There's a guy called Shuja Karanja Mushai and a number, the owner of, you know, the buses zenye zilikuwa zinaitwa Bukinya. The Bukinya buses.
Bukinya.
Yes, the owner is from Limuru. So we sat down and then the government of William Kabogo came up with a finance bill that actually would charge even you to bury your loved one in a public cemetery. You are supposed to pay 7,000, which was uncalled for. Yes, you can check if you go to the Kiambu County website, you'll find that bill of 2014. And we were trying to bring people to Limuru town, to Kiambu town, the county, and educate them that they can go to court and actually reject this kind of bill. people were reluctant. They could not reason to us. They are so traumatized. Wewe Muchendu unataka nifungue biashara ama ninyimwe license? Hiyo mambo sitaki. So we ended up going to court ourselves. And I can tell you, it is in history. We stopped Kiambu County government from correcting tax for 1 year. 1 full year. And we started bringing people together to make them understand the power that is within their reach. The power that is within their reach. If it is today, as she's saying, you've been asked to bring your kid to report to school, it is within your right to ensure that the kind of situation in the school favors your kid. If the school is not prepared well to handle your kid, it is within your right to go and reject your kid from reporting to school. I have seen head teachers writing to parents that they have to pay the entire school fees if your kid is to report. Why should you pay the entire school fees? There is a reason why the Ministry of Education has come up with 3-tier in a year. You have 3 terms, so that as a parent you are not overwhelmed with school fees. Then why should a head teacher tell you you have to pay the entire year school fees if your kid is to report, and you just go borrowing money here and there, and you cannot question that whether whatever the teacher is telling you is legally viable, or is he contravening any regulations as they are stipulated. So I think the major problem, I keep telling you, the reason why we have the kind of readers we have today in parliament and everywhere, they are as a result of a traumatized citizenship that does not know the right thing to do. And that's why I've told you, we have ended up with caribas. Today, I told you of a county that only has 1 graduate as the MCA. Wengine wote ni mabonoko. Kitu inaitwa finance bill ikikuja, anaingia WhatsApp, inapita, because he cannot understand what is that. Akisikia kitu inaitwa Appropriation Act, he cannot comprehend any of those things. But how do we end up with those readers in the assembly? It is because, again, as she said, citizens do not understand their right. They do not know. Our system of education is not geared toward letting people know what is their right or what is it that they are supposed to do. Our education inakuanga, surely, how did we come up with deciding the future of someone who has attended school for 12 years in 1 or 2 weeks, or at most 3 weeks? An exam of 3 weeks can reduce the work of 12 years to nothing. How did we end up? Even the new CBC still does not address the most important things, the technical know-how. Because I'll tell you, one of the reasons why Kenya will never grow from the 3rd world to the 2nd world, it is we have, I think it is either by design or something, but we have ignored the technical ability. I always give you a story of a young man I know who told me once, mimi Muchendu passed class 8, masomo sisikiangi, inaingilia hapa, inatoka hapa. What do you want to do? Akasema anataka kufanya welding, kuchomelea anaonanga ikiwa sawa. And it's true, cause kwa shule alikuwa tu anashinda na kibiliti ya gasa kichoma. No, true. He would liquidify plastic in school. Unaona amemod kakitu kanakaa cartoon, something of the sort. So akasema yeye anataka welding. Today, that guy is probably making 3 times of what I make every month.
Amazing.
Because alianza kuchoma milango, he would probably spend some 40,000 to make a state-of-the-art gate, or 50,000 and sell it at 150. But it is because we sat down with a parent and convinced him, this guy, shule itamweza. So what do you do? Mpeleke hiyo welding, alafu mpeleke, I told him, if you are going to weld na unataka kudeal na masos, at least your communication has to be up there. So alienda welding na akaingia class ya communication. So taught to converse. So mukikaa na yeye hapa kwa studio huwezi ambiwa ati hakumaliza form 4 na akaenda college.
What did that ongea?
So I'll tell you, until that day, this country deliberately invest on the technical ability of Kenyans. This country will continue being in the 3rd world. We will continue receiving malaria funding. We will continue receiving cholera funding. And you know, ukisikia ati Kenya tunapewa pesa ya cholera bana, we are simply saying that Kenyans are dirty. Because cholera is, kwani cholera inatokanga na nini?
But you know, actually, those politics are more complex. And that's why, actually, even your welding friend still needs to go to school to learn history, to learn sociology, to be able to talk about the things that he's going to see as an adult. So, for example, if you look at least this is what I noticed the time of Lipa Kama tender, the West is pushing money into the easy to treat diseases. So they'll fund cholera, malaria. In fact, you'll even hear the philanthropists talking about it's just a tablet, it's just a vaccine, it's just a this. So that's where they are putting their money into, so that, and then saying that the more expensive diseases must be treated by private funds. And that's why you're finding Kenyans from poor areas are finding it very hard to get treated for the more expensive diseases, and the government is just giving us tablets and vaccines. So those kinds of issues, unfortunately, they have to be understood by more than just the people in the university. The whole public has to understand, the media has to understand, the people on the street have to understand, so that when they are making decisions, or when they are seeing a government saying, I have now ordered, I don't know who, or when they see a Mzungu saying, we are going to give you $10 million for this and this, the citizens can ask the right questions. So that's what the education system is for. It's to help ordinary Kenyans, it's supposed to be for, to help ordinary Kenyans. I like the fact that you're saying
it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's supposed to be for. Yeah, it's not. It's supposed to help ordinary Kenyans ask and answer the questions they want answered. So it's not supposed to be for, I'm an engineer, I get a job, but I don't know where. It's supposed to be to help all citizens be functional as political beings in their environment. For them, when they see a donor coming to give them money, to say, actually, that's not what we need. We need this, we need that. We don't need what you're giving us. That's what we are not allowing the education system to do. And that's why so many bad decisions are being made.
All right. I'm going to talk about questions. Where desks zilianda hapi, Wandia? Iliona Unya alikuwa anafanya inspection huko Intasaidia. Sasa ni mwana watoto wanakaa chini kama kwa mazoezi.
It's one of those directives. I have ordered my government to give 10 million. It was PR. This is PR. All these things are PR, because what happens when a government official says, I have brought 10,000 books, I have brought 10,000 desks, I have brought, then Kenyans keep quiet. And then when Dr. Wandia talks, you start asking me, what's my solution? Because you're basically saying, if you can't bring desks, you have no business talking anything about education. So all this is PR. And like I said, a proper education system is supposed to help citizens say, we don't want desks. We want schools first. Yeah. We want schools. We want technology so that our kids don't have to go to school when there's a pandemic. We want more teachers who can give more attention to the kids. That's what we want. We don't want desks. Because in fact, even I'll say, at least those kids, they were in a classroom. There are some people without classrooms, let alone no desks. Others are learning on trees. Others, their schools are flooded. So why during a pandemic is desks our emergency? It's not our emergency. Lakini I hear there are also some business interests behind that story.
Na biashara, Muchendu atatuambia desk ziko wapi bwana. Niliona mbao zilipanda bei.
Uliona tiba cost has gone up by 60%. Has gone up by 60%. And then I told you, if they were very serious about helping our schools, and I keep on saying this, if the government can trust the school teacher with free primary education money, why can't you channel that money directly to a school? Because every school, anywhere, they have a local solution. They don't need to wait for a high-end BITOK contractor in Kiambu to construct a desk that will be taken 45 kilometers away to Limuru. You don't need to wait for it.
Yeah.
So if it is about issues of helping our children with desk, channel that money to a school. Let every teacher do a report, pass it to the ministry. This is how much we need to comply with the COVID protocols. So this is how much you need. Every desk anywhere must have, because it will not surprise me if you hear that a desk in Nairobi is costing 10,000 and another one in Limuru costing 2,000. And that disparity, nobody questions that. So, as you have said, this is purely PR gimmick. Because I keep on insisting, if you want to help Gatora Primary School, where I went with desk, the teacher and the board have been entrusted to dispense the free education money. Therefore, what is desk money compared to what they are being given every year to manage? So, how the hell do you tell me to take my document, my company document, to the provincial administration at the DC's place in Limuru? What has the DC got to do with the education system? There are things that don't make sense. And I told you BITOK. When BITOK is being told that, how many carpenters in Moiben do you know have registered companies?
It is not.
They have they just
operate.
Have a registered business name, and they pay kanjo, and they start operating. And you see, our walimu, because I'm in the village, I know what happens. Mwalimu anaenda anakuta huyu carpenter, tunataka desk, 20 desks. This is 20,000. Utengeneze desk, ukimaliza, we will pay you the balance. I'm telling you that carpenter in 2 weeks anakuanga amemaliza. Kwa sababu it is called what is called Rocco made solutions. Lakini saizi ulisikia kuna over $1 billion shillings. There's someone who is looking forward to pocket
1.9 billion.
Yes, 1.9 billion. I will not be surprised if 900 million is being pocketed by the people who came up with the idea. And then unfortunately, we have a president who has been filled with PR gimmicks that he never understands some of the directives he gives. The very people who have connived to plan and orchestrate these programs that cannot be questioned are also the very people who sit down and okay the speeches that the president is giving. So the president will wake up in the morning, go to in front of the camera, read a statement that is written by people with vested interest. After he is done, it now becomes the tool these people will use to manipulate people into getting that money in their pocket. And I think that is a problem that we have. The president at times, before you read these nonsensical PR statements, kindly sit down with these idiots. Let them explain to you how did they come up with 1.9 billion to do desk.
But anyway, even what kind of national government are you worrying about desks? That is the headmaster's job. It should not be coming from State House.
The most funny thing is, these schools have been making desks for the longest time. They have desks. It's not like they've been sitting on stones. Why not empower the people who are doing the desk to do the job?
Exactly. And even if you involve the local community, they can decide they want a table like this, then you can sit many more people and probably use less materials to make single desks or desks for only two kids. So State House is not supposed to be talking about desks. They are supposed to be telling us a proper leader, national leader, should be telling us about national directions. What do we want from our education system? What kind of country do we want? And what kind of education will give us the kind of country we want? Mambo ya desks, books, curriculum, that's what your CS and the headmasters and the teachers and the local communities should be doing. So I think education needs to be devolved, like really. Send all the decision making about the infrastructure of education should be left to the counties.
Nimeona Viki amekuja Gichiru amerudi. Oh, my friend Viki anasema, yeah, why is the president dealing with this? Kwani yeye ni headmistress?
You know, I'll tell you, and I keep on saying this, there is no single capital expenditure in this country that is by default. Every single capital expenditure you see by Jubilee government is by design. It is not intended to help Wanjiko. It is intended to help some individuals. You see, sometimes I ask myself, we are crying today that our education system needs a lot of investment, but somebody sat somewhere and decided to invest on SGR. Do you know, one of the greatest owner of land before SGR in this country, the biggest owner of public land, is Kenya Railways. And then I ask myself, couldn't we have gone the Ethiopian way? Ethiopian, what they did a research on their gauge railway, and they came up that their gauge railway cannot even contribute to 1% of the GDP of Ethiopia. So what did they decide? They decided we are going to cross the gauge railway for 2 years. The same railway line the gauge railway was using, it is the same one they converted to the standard gauge railway. But in this country, somebody orchestrated a plan to do an SGR using a whole new different route. Today, we have an SGR coming from Mombasa, where we have compensated. Do you know that either 57 or 59% of the money we have spent on the SGR has gone to compensation? It has not gone to the actual building of the railway. But you see, these people, they only interested about what they pocket. I would dare you to look at the SGR from Mombasa to now up to Naivasha, where it terminates at Ewaso Kidong Lunch. Check who are the owners of Ewaso Kidong Lunch. Check who are the owners of most of the lands where this SGR has passed through. These people, they are not interested in streamlining our education system, because can you imagine if we were putting some, how much now? We have spent almost 600 billion. Yeah. 600 billion in our education system. Where would we be? We would be having one of the state-of-the-art education system. But nobody is interested. Uhuru, unaambiwa desk. Mimi sijaziona kwetu na Limuru. I've not seen those desks. Umesikia 2 weeks later, hii mambo ya desk, who are the biggest timber dealers in this country? And I keep on repeating here, at the risk of finding a Subaru down here. The Raiply are some of the biggest dealers of timber in this country. These are the biggest suppliers of government. These guys, they have known to be the biggest business associate of the first family for a long time. These guys, they are the people who bought pen paper. These guys, they sit in the Kenya Forestry Board, the same board that is supposed to regulate how timber is done in this country.
Cutters of tree.
Yes, they are the cutters of tree. They also sit in the same committee that is supposed to regulate them. Saizi, ukisikia ati kuna desks za 1.9 billion, you are there thinking that, na niliona makapenta huko Geshagi wakikimbia kupeleka makaratasi kwa DC. My friend, this is a well orchestrated plan to dupe Kenyans. There are people who already walikuwa wamejiseti wako tayari kukula hii pesa ya desk. That is why you see in Western Kenya, kids are going to report and they are sitting down. You see a school in Rokichai is still under a tree. And what bothers me is that you'll find a constituency there, BITOK has not more than 10 schools. If Limuru is receiving 130 million CDF, a constituency in Turkana is receiving equivalent. But you see, Limuru alone, ikiwa peke yake, iko na 38 primary schools. Ukienda pahali panaitwa Turkana, is it this Turkana South? I can't remember the constituency. It has no more than 10 schools. But those 10 schools, 7 of them are still learning under a tree.
You know, the way the government thinks, which is so primitive, is that they invest where their investment already has been made. They don't feel that they need to invest more of their resources in the places that have had disadvantages in terms of investment. And that's why this 1 million one man, one vote thing came about, it was out of that selfishness. And then also, government officials like quick results. So it's easier for them to say, oh, we have painted a school in Kiambu. There are these desks, and then you get the PR people to take photos of the desk, rather than going to an area where there are no schools and starting to build the schools, because that is a result that will take maybe 6 months before you can show it to the media with your photographs. So government officials are always going to the places where they can get quick results that are already invested in, and that's why they don't go to the poorer areas. So that's why you're seeing these kinds of very strange pronouncements. But the other thing that this government does not think of is investing in people. Invest in the people. The people can sort out whether they have desks. If you're giving them the resources, the opportunities for business, the opportunities to come together and decide what they want to do, if you give them those opportunities, they'll figure out whether they need desks or whether people need stools, or, it's up to the local communities to decide. But as long as we are trying to run education from Jogoo House, then we are going to keep on having these problems. But the other thing why Kenyans are not asking questions is because of we are in such a competition with each other. So parents are not thinking, what about the education of all our children? They are thinking, if I don't accept this today, so-and-so's kid will be ahead of mine tomorrow. So that's why they accept this abuse on behalf of their children. So we also need, as Kenyans, to think like a village. We have to think of each other. There is no joy in getting education when nobody else is getting education. That's not education. That's not education, that's selfishness.
Selfishness. All right.
Yeah.
Kenyans are the most very interesting people. By the way, Kenya right now are praying for Trump. We have enough problems here. What do you think?
Yeah, and
mko na nguvu, mko na uwezo ya kuambia Trump na hapa mnalimana.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Again, education. We don't understand what Trump means for Africa. Even after he called us what he called us, you have people who went to school who have not understood what it means for us. And I bet there is no university, I can almost bet, that will talk about that in the classroom. We are still doing the role of private sector in the economy, and based on 1990 notes. So we need an education system that is current, that allows teachers to innovate, and where the syllabus and the assessment system is not so rigid that teachers cannot bring new knowledge in the class, bring guest speakers. We don't have to stick to KICD approved textbooks. We need to be able to teach even with a newspaper, or to tell students, did you hear this and this on the radio today? Here, this is what it means. This is where it's coming from. We should be able to teach like that, but we are not allowed, because we have to stick to the syllabus. And like at universities, if we must change the syllabus, improvement process.
Interesting.
BITOK, as she has said, I'm missing your time. Don't have that time. But there's something amesema that's very interesting. And today I want to pay homage to Mrs. Wamotwe, my literature teacher in high school for 4 years. This woman made us read the weekend newspapers, and she was telling you, go read at the commentary, go read at the political opinions, go read at the headline, go read at sports. And every time I come on Monday for a lesson, we were not covering the syllabus. We would review the happenings of the weekend. This thing did two things for me. Number one, it made me love knowing the current affairs. And it also made me aware of what was happening in the country. Probably it's the reason why I ended up in leadership and government, because there's someone who introduced me to that kind of a system. Some of the things that today I know, I don't know them because somebody taught me. But I know them because someone exposed me to that idea of wanting to know more than what is just being taught in the syllabus. And I think that is where the problem is. I started doing literature as a subject from Form 1. She made sure that I can remember the story of the concubine.
The story is anyway.
Yeah, nakumbuka nikiwa Form 1 nilipatiwa nisome kitabu kinaitwa The Concubine with a star called Homer. I can remember that story from A to Z. By the time I was getting to Form 2, literature was not a big deal for me. And I think that is the kind of education we need to have, that is incorporative. You know, you bring out a kid learning holistically, understanding everything. You don't want a kid that only knows what is in the book. Because today, I can remember what was taught of the book. But saizi ukiniambia nianze kufanya mambo ya trigonometry. We used to have a subject in Form 3 ilikuwa inaitwa trigonometry, and then ukienda Form 4 unakuta ingine inaitwa further trigonometry. These are things that probably I may not remember word to word. But today, anything that was off the curve that I was taught by that mwalimu of mine, I can vividly remember everything. She introduced us to doing debate. She guided us on how a debate is done. So, as she's saying, we need to come up with a system that brings up our kids holistically. We don't just bring them from one angle. Because if we are suffering today, that is why Kenyans, including the members of parliament, they are still glued at the Jerusalem challenge. I'm hearing that the Parliament Jerusalem challenge is costing us millions of money. They have now released a
Why
video.
did they not call me to go and produce that Jerusalem challenge? At least hata mimi nikule vitu ya serikali kidogo.
Wewe unarima serikali uite nani jana. So, that's what I'm telling you. We are concentrating on things that actually do not matter, rather than concentrating on things that can actually shape the future of our children. And I keep on telling you, what I do every day, BITOK, today, tomorrow, I always have the future of my daughter in mind. What kind of a woman do I want my daughter to become? You do not just envision it. You make sure that you provide an enabling environment for her to become what you see her she will become in future. So therefore, this government, as I tell you, a government that is coming up with a program that called Kazi Mtaani, the most idiotic thing I have seen any government do. Give your youth slashers na pangas. And then the same people who give the youth slasher na panga, they are out there shouting that kuna mtu mwingine anapatiana wheelbarrow, kuna mwingine anapatiana, what do you call it? Kuna mwingine anapatiana mkokoteni. On the other side, kuna mwingine anaita fake Kikuyu elders kuwapatia nyama na soda na mkate to endorse them. It is a shouting match of people who have failed. Mwingine ni moja anapatiana panga. He is shouting against the one who is giving wheelbarrows. Na mwingine anapiga mwenye anapiga wheelbarrow na yeye ana import wazee to Nyanza. Therefore, when you look at this leadership, you ask yourself, in all this mix, where is the young person? Where is my 3-year-old daughter coming in this mix? What happens to her 10 years from now? Are we doing what we are supposed to do to ensure that person becomes somebody in 20 years to come?
You see, in fact, actually, one of the reasons why we have this problem is because the model of the economy that we economy, what's the plantation economy? Put most people in a place to make a lot of money and produce. So it can either be a factory or a actual shamba. And then you have a rich man who just grabs everything that they make. He's the one to exploit them and to sell what he makes and to keep most of the money. That's the model of the economy that we still have to this day. So that's why they are keeping the young people at the slashers and the wheelbarrows, because they don't want the young people to be the next innovators, the next engineers. Why after 60 years are we still bringing Chinese to come and design our roads? Roads should be actually being designed by the local people. It should be the young people of a place who are saying, given the soils, because they know the soil. See, they are the ones who live there. They know what can work and what can't work. They should be designing their roads. but the political class
but
does
Wandia,
not want citizens who think.
Wewe ukipatiwa kazi ya kutengeneza barabara, kickback haitakuwa.
Yeah.
You understand?
See, that is now
Yes.
plantation economy 101. Where it's by people who don't work. Look who are rich. What work do they do? What skills do they have? They don't have any.
They don't even manufacture.
They don't manufacture. They have no ideas. They don't plant. The only thing they do is be in offices and make orders and get the money. So that's, unfortunately, young people, this is where they have been relegated to. They have been relegated to producing the labor and the produce for other people to sell. And that's why we don't have a good education system. Because if we did, people would start saying, I want to innovate something different that can help my community. They don't want that, because how will the Nairobi person get his kickbacks?
As a matter of fact, today, a coffee auctioneer in Mombasa is getting 75% of what the coffee farmer has labored to do. And these are the kind of things, let me tell you, it is shameful that the President of the Republic of Kenya comes from Kiambu County, where we plant coffee, where we plant tea, where we do agriculture as a backbone, and the same place he found the coffee and the tea farmers is the same position he's about to leave them. Today, I have looked at the process or the plan that Tanzania has come up with to help the coffee farmers and the tea farmers. Now in Tanzania, it is now possible. I am a producer of coffee. BITOK is a producer of coffee. Wandia is a producer of coffee. Our camera person is a producer of coffee. Today in Tanzania, we can come up together and build our own auction.
Wow.
And link the farmers directly to the international buyers of coffee. Therefore, it means that there will be 116% increase on the income of coffee to the Tanzanian coffee farmer. Today, we have very few people with the monopoly of auctioning our coffee in this country. Therefore, even if you have how much coffee, you cannot sell it directly. This middleman is now the person who is killing the economy of this country. I told you, there are so many available business opportunity for Kenyans to do and make a kill. But there are Kenyans who have always known this and they have gone ahead. I told you, Wandia, I'm sure you know the something like hibiscus flower. We plant it everywhere. It is all over in our houses everywhere. And I told you 1 kg of hibiscus top flower is almost 3,000 shillings on Alibaba. But somebody has already patented hibiscus. You cannot sell it to Alibaba. You have to go through them.
And my job, my official job as a lecturer, what my job is to train those middlemen, those accountants, and those managers to come and keep on being the middlemen who will exploit people at the bottom. That's the role of the education system as it currently stands. We are getting people to live off the work of others, to be the accountants, the managers, the PR people, the ones who are making the rich look good, instead of the ones who are helping the people at the bottom create those auctions that you're talking about.
And I think for me that's basically the problem I have. You hear that a macadamia farmer in Kenya is paid 300 per kg. Go to alibaba.com and find that a kg of unprocessed macadamia is almost 3,000 shillings. Somebody is buying this at 300 and he or she is making immediately. It is off your hand and it is in her hand. She is assured if she has bought 1 million kilos from Kenyan, she will make 2,400 shillings every kilo that you buy. So if that is the case, you can imagine we are talking about how many millions. We are saying that if she has bought 1 million kilos, you have just made that guy 2.4 billion richer in a second. Therefore, as we have said, our education system has never been built to build an entrepreneur out of Bunei. It has been made in a way to make Bunei, as long as you do not come from the rich family, your work is to do the donkey work for the rich. That is our education system. It is how, even the new CBC, because I don't know whether, and I give Kenyans the responsibility of downloading the Finland education system. Our CBC is a direct replica of the Finland education system. If you, the CBC, the new CBC has proposed. But the beauty about Finland system, the Finland system is actually advocating on bringing a kid holistically. Bringing up someone who, number one, has the education know-how to go about things, someone who comes up with the technical ability to produce and make things. That is why you find that most people from the Scandinavian Europe are serious farmers. Look at my father is a farmer, and I know that he likes scouting for breeds from places like New Zealand, or places like the Netherlands, because these guys, they do not only have the paper, the book wisdom. They have also been brought up holistically, getting the technical ability to apply what is it that Kina Wandia and the rest are teaching them. Therefore, the education system in this country tells you, if you failed in class 8, you are a failure. You cannot amount to anything. Because let's face the fact, not everybody is going to comprehend everything that is taught on the book. But our education system is telling you that in 3 days, your 8 years in school can be reduced to 0.
Because actually the education system, the way it's structured, is the way it was during colonial times. It's supposed to be a processing plant, so that you pick a few to run the economy, to be the nyapara or the middlemen, and then the rest of the people of Kenyans, they are supposed to go back and wait for kazi kwa vijana. That's how the economy is structured. Yeah, that's how the economy is structured. And the way to get out of it is to educate citizens in a way that they become politically active. So that they are saying, no, don't just give me a desk, also tell me how, when I finish school, I won't have taxes to worry about, I won't have bad roads, I won't have ABCD, so that I can also be a productive citizen. That's what we don't have. And the what Scandinavian countries have is a very humane system. It's a humane system that takes care of people, that educates them to be proud of who they are, and to be active citizens in their country. And that is why, by the time even if you finish school and you become a farmer, you're not a passive farmer who is being exploited. You're able to ask the hard questions.
You're an intelligent farmer.
You are an intelligent farmer. And it's not even intelligence of just, have I planted this instead of that? It's the intelligence to even say, I'm not using pesticide, I'm not, where is this coming from? They are able to ask those questions. But us, even when farmers can, and they do ask those questions, we have a whole infrastructure flooded with the people from the universities of suppressing those stories. You don't tell them in the media, you don't teach them to the next generation of children. So every time you have a batch of people leaving the university system, they don't understand what it takes to produce anything.
In fact,
they are just repeating what IMF says, what was said on Business News yesterday evening.
What the Africa Development Bank is saying.
What Africa Development
Actually,
Bank is saying.
Zach Dongo says on our thread, our education system generates servanthood. And that is the aim of the new system at grade 4.
Yes,
there is nothing new about our education system. It is supposed to, if BITOK, you come from a humble family, it is supposed to keep you there, knowing that you serve at the interest of other people. And that, for me, that's basically the problem. That's why you realize that in our times, only a few of us who came out of school knowing exactly what is your responsibility and knowing that you are not born to become a servant or to confine to a certain set of orders by somebody. And that is a problem with so many people. That is why you see change is facing a lot of resistance in this country. Sometimes you don't sit and blame Kenyans. Sometimes it is how these Kenyans have been brought up. It is the kind of education system they have gone through. You will find a Kenyan who is brilliant and can be able to read cannot vie for a seat because the education system told him that this is select for the few. You are not fit for this kind of position. Your position is to become somebody's PA. Your position is to, you know. And I think this is a problem. This is a problem we are having in this country. And how we deal with that mindset is what will be the determinant factor on where this country's future is going to be. And for me, I think it is wrong. The education system. I actually congratulate most of the teachers who have come out to denounce even the new system, because those like Wandia here and the expert, they tell us even the new CBC does not address the serious problems that we want them addressed. It is like how do I put it? It is like just changing a hairstyle. You change a hairstyle, it does not change that Wandia still remains to be Wandia. You tomorrow she's on wig, the other day she's pretted, the other day she's on her natural hair like she looks today. You see, until you can deal with the root issue, you are just doing what we call cosmetic. Because today I have seen countries that the education system has not been disrupted because they have embraced technology.
In fact, actually, it's only Kenya that has been changing the education system every so many years. Most countries, their education system is structurally the same. It's what goes inside the system that is different. But you don't go saying it's the number of years people spend here, the number of years, that's where the problem is. That's not where the problem is. It's what is going on in the system. But let me just also say that this system is the way the colonialists designed it. Because even this stupidity we are talking about that is suppressing the minds of Kenyans, that was how the colonial officers who came to Kenya, they were trained that way. They were trained not to think and to respond to everything that happens in Kenya, either with violence, extreme violence, or with ignoring the problem until it cannot go away. So if you see our government officials behaving like that, it's because they were trained like that. The ones who were assimilated in the 50s, now they reproduced that mentality. So the government's operations are just those two.
We do carbon
Ignore
copies
a
of
problem,
inefficiencies.
Yeah. You ignore the problem or you respond with fujo. Na drama.
You know,
you talk about money.
We are still in a system. It is like the system that was put up by the former Embakasi MP, David Mwenje. You know what Mwenje would do? Mwenje would pay guys at night to construct a wall on a public property. And in the morning, you guys wake up and you find a wall on a public field. And the first thing you will do is call the member of parliament that somebody has grabbed the field. Then Mwenje would sponsor demonstration. And later that afternoon, all the Embakasi people will join the MP in bringing down the perceived public grabbing of land. That is how Mwenje survived in Embakasi politics. And that is the same replica of what is happening in national government. This government creates artificial problems. Then, actually stars its citizen to protest against the very problem they have created, and then later they will come as the messiah to solve that problem. That is the kind of government Jubilee has become in this country. They create a mess and then they star the citizens to learn against that mess, and then in the evening they want to come and give solutions to the same mess. That is the government we have. They do not want to deal with the serious issues affecting Mwananchi, affecting Wanjiko. That is why their area of interest today is infrastructure everywhere.
Because it's achievable and it's
where-
And I
the
congratulate the government of France for its failure to give Jaden some more loans. I congratulate them. I'm hearing that they refused to sign a check. No, it is true. Let me tell you. The moment BITOK as the head of state, you go and take a loan from Wandia, it shall not be paid by your own money. It shall be paid by the taxes that we pay. Therefore, the question you need to ask yourself, before you go to take another loan, does Wanjiko that is expected to pay that tax have something in the pocket? Because you are taking loans. People continue to close businesses in Nyamakema and everywhere. How do you expect to raise money to pay that loan? If Wanjiko, who is supposed to, the professor, what do you call it? The governor of CBK. The other day, he said that KRA may have lost about 1 million people who were paying tax before Corona. Now they have closed business. They cannot pay tax. But somebody is still getting more and more loans for this country. Let me tell you, this country today, as we start BITOK, the interest on our loan is more than our wage bill.
Interest is more than a wage bill.
Yes, our entire wage bill. I'm not talking, get me right, I'm not talking about the loan itself. I'm talking about the interest on our loans. The interest we are paying on our loans is more than our wage bill.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yes. You see, this guy, when he became president, he found that our GDP was growing at 15%. Today, I mean, not the GDP, our revenue, the revenue that we were giving KRA against the GDP was about 15%. It has gone down to 10%. But that left hand continues to take more and more on. In fact, I pity the person who becomes the president in 2022. No. His first business will first of all to be dig the country out of the pit hole that the current president has put this country in.
Right.
His work is cut out for him. Whoever becomes the president of 2022, Kenyans should, I'm telling you, it's going to take like 10 years to put this economy back afloat. Not actually grow it, put it back afloat. But you hear when we say this, we are nicknamed a lot of nonsense. We are called sijui, whatever, all those nonsense. But I keep on saying, and I don't fear when I say this, the president of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Muigai Kenyatta, is gonna go down in the sub-Saharan Africa as the worst fiscal manager and as the head of state who has failed to take a grip on the economy of this country.
Wandia, you still agree with the same? Anyway guys, before I try it Wandia, tunachukua simu 0779-800-010. Bunge la Mwananchi iko wazi 0779-800-010 0779-800-010 0779-800-010. You can call in and contribute. My friend Wandia, by the way, what do you think about sheria? Juzi kumekuwa na sheria kwamba mikutano zinapimiwa hewa.
You know, actually that's an education problem. Education is about people coming together to talk about what is affecting them. So it's there in education, it's there in culture, and then there's the meetings. So whatever is being done to the schools is being done to the public spaces. The thing they don't want us to do is to get together. I think that's what is happening. They're preventing any public conversations from happening and any people coming together to talk.
All right, that is crazy to scare. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Bwana Gerald.
Vipi, jamangu ni Yesu. Umepotea sana dadi.
Hello?
Vipi, umepotea bro?
Yes, habari ya nyinyi na daktari na kila mtu ambaye ako hapo kwa panelist.
Daktari iko fiti na smile tu hapo.
Ningependa kusema mambo machache kulingana na vile nimesikia wakiongea hapo. Yambele, first of all, the biggest problem we have in our country is the problem of brokers. Wanaitwa wakarabati.
Yeah.
Those are the biggest problem in our country because they are well connected and they're giving themselves big names like consultants. When there is a project, they want to call themselves consultants. They get big money and, push forward somebody who's there that is... and then the country gets in a mess. Secondly, the education part. I think education inatakiwa ikaliwe chini sana na watu ambao wanaelewa mambo ya education so that they can come up with a format for education for our people because I'm surprised even the people who are learned and schooled and they're given certain position, once they get into that position, they don't come up with a policy or, a format that really is helpful to a common mwananchi. Because now look at even the people who are currently occupying those, they were there, but now they have become psychophants. Thirdly, I wanted to talk about the issue of, problems that we are facing, Like, for example, where I come from, tumeongea manene ya shule na that kind of stuff. The school that I went to is deep down in the water. Lake Baringo was...
Mudos, umpotea? Hello? Your phone is breaking bana. Umesikia Lake Baringo ukanyongwa, pole sana. Nani amecheza kama yeye. Alright, you are saying something, Dr.
I'm so sad about Baringo, but again, if we had let the local people tell us what is the best way to sort out certain issues, then we would not be here. But we have a government that has no respect for people. And in fact, that's why they don't want to invest in education, because we think that it's concrete and steel and railways that develops a country. It's the people. It's the people. But because they know that educating the people will give more power to the people, that's why they are not bothered when the education system is suffering.
That's quite interesting. Anyway, so tutaendelea hivi mpaka lini?
Imagine me, I don't know. I really don't know, because one of the things that is happening, I'm so discouraged by the parents who have been to school who can be asking better questions. Instead, they are asking about their own children. Instead of asking about a country which their children deserve, they are asking about, will my child make it? Will they pass exams? Will they get a job?
They have turned them into robots.
They are the robots, actually. So
unless
we get a revolution, unless we get a revolution or the people from below just say we are tired of this system, I have very little faith in the people who have been to school. I'm sorry to say. My faith in them has gone.
Very little faith in the people who have gone to school.
Yeah.
Ulitoa matumaini mpaka tumatumba. Haya, sawa. Muchendu. Kenyans Wakenya wameomba a record 245 billion kwa Fuliza in a month. They borrow 245 billion Fuliza every month.
Have you seen the interest rate? Have you seen the interest rate that you pay at Freezer?
In fact,
and on the record, I have never freezered. Thank God. I have never freezered. And I deliberately...
Good morning.
Hello.
Habari ya asubuhi.
Fine.
Tuambie tukusikia dadi.
This is Peter.
Yes, Peter, how are you?
Fine. This is the taco.
Yes, sir. This is the taco.
I'm following up. Say hi to Mr. Muchendu there.
Nimesalimika sana bwana Peter, hata mimi naitwa Peter.
Nimetoka hiyo ndia.
Hey.
Pandile abroad yuko Dioni huko.
The farthest, Deia North.
Yeah, and I've been following our neighbors about the cattle rustling there, bro. Sasa swali yenye nauliza. Kila saa naona mkitembea huko na mazai mnaenda mikutano mingi huko, bro. Then the last thing I saw mkakuja hapa Bomas.
kulikuwa na akina Kuru huko, akina Robert huko. But you guys, you are never given a chance to speak, and you are the guys who are the ground there.
And unfortunately, Bwana Peter, this issue seems to have a lot of bureaucracy.
I think it's a political thing.
Actually, my point has always been, our neighbors, the Maasai, are nomads. From one home to the other, there is always a distance of kilometers. Therefore, when you see 500 Maasais together coming to steal, you always know there is somebody who has pangared them, because bringing 500 Maasais together, you'll probably need a radius of 100 kilometers.
Sure, bro.
So the problem, and we keep saying, is that this issue seems to be not about cattle rustling. It is a politically instigated issue to ensure our people do not occupy their lands down there. And that is why we have said that from now, because the government has deliberately failed to protect us, sisi tutajilinda, na ndio maana umeona juzi wamekuja kuiba ng'ombe, and the citizens of Nachu wakaangusha wawili. Waliangusha wawili, and they have vowed that they will treat these people as the other any normal thug that would come to steal, na wewe unajidefend, because we cannot keep talking about one thing every other day.
Since 1993, because I relocated from Garadika to Njoya since 1993. The first welcome in Njoya was cattle rustling from the Maasai.
Yes.
So up now, I think it's almost 20 years, and we are still talking of the same thing, and we have a government.
I think as we have done the necessary write-up to the Ministry of Interior, we have provided the needed information to the NIS.
Okay.
And as citizens who are responsible and readers in Njoya, we have done our part.
Okay.
Therefore, we have given the government ultimatum. Ultimately, if they do not protect us, sisi tumejipanga. Na sisi mtu akikuja kuiba mali yetu, we will treat him just like any other armed thug that comes to steal from us, and we will deal with them thoroughly.
That is great, Mr. Muchendu. And then the second one, there is this hill, I don't know, you know this place?
It's called Kandutura.
Kandutura.
Yes.
I know the place, and I recently passed there, and I appreciate the work that was done there.
Yes, I think the right person to receive the accolades would be the area member of parliament, because we put him to task, and he has done two major things that affect the Rwambori people. That is that particular place called Kandutura. And he has also, through the Kenya Armed Forces, done a water project there that is helping the community.
So I'm asking.
Yes.
What is the difference between Kandutura and the place near Githongosho going up there to Boroti? Because it has the same thing. Kiwangechukua hiyo kitu wachukue tu kama project moja, wajipange zikuwa mbili zimalizike tu zikiwa pamoja, ama wenye wako pande ile ya Boroti hawana.
Peter, the difference is Kandutura is a demarcated registered government road. That particular road heading to Boroti, I know the place as you're coming from Githongosho Primary School. It is still not a registered government road.
But there are people living there.
There are people living there. There are people living there, sir. But the process is there has to be, you know, the entire rift kutoka Boroti going all the way to almost Rwambori. That particular place, sijui they call themselves Mwireri something. That entire land has not been demarcated. So it is not until the demarcation is done. The only road now we can probably do for now is the road coming from Githongosho Primary going all the way as you're heading to that place you call Farainya. So I think that would be the problem, but it is also important to note that in the first regime of the county government, we tried to do that road with the Honorable Nelson Monga. So the honors are on the MCA, the current MCA, who is also the leader of majority in the assembly. But as far as I'm concerned, I call him the leader of majority failures in Kiambu Assembly.
All right, Peter. Asante sana. Kwa siku njema. Hello. Jamaa naona kuna mambo ya shamba kabisa. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning, sir. Hello. Hello, good morning. All right, then has disappeared. Daktari. Umesikia mambo ya shamba. Je, na shamba mko jia moja.
Yeah, but you know, we also need an economy that supports others. Yeah. So that even the people of the shambas can have customers for their food and for other things. And that kind of thinking is what we don't have right now.
All right. Hello. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Jambo Gerald.
Salama sana, vipi? Niambie.
Vizuri sana. Salimia Gavana Muchendu hapo. Na Wandia.
Nimesalimika.
Yeah, na wapolo sana kwa Twitter.
Okay.
Kwanza nataka kuzungumza kuhusu education. Education system. Education system, mimi nikumbuka nilisoma ile 844. Wakati nilikuwa nasoma 844, it was a very interesting time to learn. Tulikuwa tunasoma mambo kama art and craft, nasoma music, unakuwa na wide scope. Lakini wakati walichange system, naona nikifuatilia kijana wangu anaambiwa asome, I don't think it add value for the current generation. Kwa sababu mimi nikumbuka mpaka sasa hivi, mimi nikiwa kijana nilikuwa nataka kuwa DJ. Lakini wazazi wangu hawakuimba kwaya. Nilikuwa nataka kuwa DJ, lakini kaenda nikafanya mambo ya ICT. Mpaka leo nakumkanga mambo na music. Nikienda kwa shamba yangu, najua mambo na agriculture. Nikienda mali kitaka hata kurepair ndogo kwa nyumba, nakumbuka mambo na art and craft. So, the education system, I think hii kuchange system hii walichange haraka wakitaka kukopi kama America. Ndio tunataka kuwa kama America. I think we failed. It's the same thing with our constitution. We wanted to copy what America have. But hatukuangalia what sisi wa Kenya, sisi wa Afrika, what can we do for ourselves? So for this education system, mi bado ni sijafurahisha, bado ni education system wamechange. Kitu kingine kwa education system ni mambo na environment. Wameleta mambo na environment, very good. Ukienda kama university, pako unit inaambiwa environmental science. Watu unasomeshwa about environmental science, ozone layer, which is very important. That's one I can put stick. But the problem, we are not implementing. Kwa sababu ukitembea hii Nairobi yetu ni kuchafu. Unanipata? So ukiwa kama town unapata mtu anakula ndizi, anakunywa maji, anatupa chini. So we need to create awareness. Unanipata? Tukue more passionate. The problem we have is to enforce patriotism in our country. Wakati wa Moi, mimi ni mfuasi wa KANU. Wakati wa Moi tulikuwa na patriotism, ulikuwa patriot. Tulikuwa unasomanga ile loyalty pledge. Sasa ukiangalia unaangalia vijana, mtu anakunywa anatupa takataka chini. NMS nilikuwa nimeona juzi walikuwa wanasema tuanze kufagia. Watu wakasema tunalipa kodi. Lakini sisi tunapata kuwa patriot. Kwa hivyo education system yetu imefail pia, kwa sababu inge create hiyo awareness through the education system. The other thing nataka kuambia governor, naona anaita bwana president Jaydan, sioni ni kitu kizuri kuita president Jaydan, manake economy ya nchi ni kitu iko na utata sana. But we cannot develop our country if we import. Amesema watu huko River Road wamefunga maduka, tunafanya nini? Kitu cha kwanza nataka tu, zile economy zote zimeendelea dunia mzima, ukifanya utafiti. All the economies which have developed, first they import less and they export more. So the government, as young people, we should try to revive our sector. For example, cotton in Makueni, cotton in Siaya, so that we can kuamsha Rivertex. If you remember Rivertex, tujaribu kuamsha Pantepa. Tuache kuimport vitu kama toothpick. Unanipata? Tuache kuimport vitu kama mtumba. Unanipata? Yes, I know in a support other family, but in terms of the economy, we need to stop importing. We are importing a lot. I think we are importing 95%. We're exporting even 5%. Even I doubt that 5%. We need to improve our economy. I know the situation is very difficult for the government. Let's give the Uru support where he can. And I believe as a part of Kenya, we can still make it.
Asante sana ndugu yangu. Thank you.
Maybe I can say something on 844. 844 is being misunderstood and misrepresented, and I don't know whether there was an agenda behind this. When 844 started, the idea was to expose all children to all subjects. That was the idea. The reason why the parents started saying, no, remove some of the subjects, was because of the exams. So what happened with 844 was that the problem of exams was not dealt with. We just changed the system, but we did not deal with the question of why exams are so important in trying to get people ahead. And the reason why that was the case is because we have very few opportunities. So exams weed out people till this day. If you look at the numbers passing KCSE, only about 3% of people are going to university. That's where the problem is. It's not the problem with the exams or the subjects, it's with the opportunities. As long as opportunities are few, you will need exams to decide who comes out of what. So that was the problem. It was an economic problem. It was not a curriculum problem. That's why the first few years of 844, people remember that as a good time because they were learning everything. They were learning art and crafts, technical subjects. I remember my sister made something I think it was a stool she made with mbaos. So people were learning different subjects and getting exposure to everything. But because of the exam system and the lack of opportunities, now it became too much. So that's one misunderstanding of 844. The problem of 844 was not the content of the curriculum, at least not the biggest problem. The biggest problem was the few opportunities. The second problem, which has been explained by a gentleman called Mwenda Kithenji, was that what Moi did, which nobody wants to talk about, is that Moi opened the system to communities that had been marginalized from the education system. Moi realized that in order to run a country, you need an elite who look like you and sound like you. So he opened up the system to include more communities in the system. Now, the motivation for that was not correct because it just diversified the 3%. It didn't remove the 3%. But what that did was that that people from communities that had been previously marginalized were now reaching university. They were going to national schools. I suspect that the reason for the bile against 844 is because of that. That the ruling elite are annoyed that the education system was opened up to people who had previously not had access to education. And because these people entered the system, that's when the old elite started saying, oh, the system has gone down, these days there's no quality and all that other nonsense. So we need to be clear. The problem has never been 844. The problem has been few opportunities and great inequality. You can change to CBC, you can change to whatever, as long as that inequality is still there.
You cannot fix the problem.
You cannot fix the problem, and exams will still be very important because people need opportunities. The second thing I need to say is that I know our constitution sounds American, But let me teach my irrelevant subjects. It is not. The American Constitution is actually almost like Lancaster. It was written by slave owners and rich people. They did not include the local people. They did not include indigenous people. And when they were saying all men are created equal, they were not talking about the African American slaves in their plantations. So let's not confuse things. In that way, the Kenya Constitution is nothing like the American one. The Kenyan Constitution was written from the ground up by people. It's people who called for a new constitution. In the US, it was imposed by the landowners. So, and in fact, I think that is why it is being fought against now, because it was our constitution. People died, people struggled. So we should be proud that we have a constitution that was ours. In fact, the pride is not in whether it's perfect or not. There's nothing like perfection. What we should be proud of is that it's us who asked for it. And that's not the American situation. So let's not, so comparing our constitution with the American one is apples and oranges. And then the last thing I want to say, the reason for teaching subjects like the arts or literature is so that now, when now Dr. Wandia gets some money, she will spend on local fashion. She will see the value of buying clothes that are made by our people. So if we want to encourage local industry, you have to expose people in the school system to those local industries. But you don't keep on teaching them World Bank, IMF, I don't know who else, role of this, effects of the other. So then when they come out of the education system, they'll start going to Turkey for clothes because you never taught them about the local arts. You never taught them to appreciate Kenyan colors, Kenyan dances, Kenyan films, Kenyan books. You didn't teach them to appreciate those things. So now you want them, how do you want them to spend on clothes made with materials from Rivertex? So when we are educating people, we are not educating only for jobs. We are educating people who will support
for
other
functionality.
industries.
All right. Ana kuna daktari mwenzako. Hello, daktari.
Yes, how are you?
Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Great show. I'm loving a lot.
Thank you so much.
I'm loving it.
Thank you.
I'm really loving it. Yes. Both governance and Dr. Wandia and Yela and yourself are doing a heck of a job. No, I just wanted to hear Doctor's view because somebody talked about the miseducation of Africans. The miseducation of Africans. That somebody who is that what we are calling education is to some extent miseducation. Associating those who are miseducated as education that make us sit at the back. And if there is no back seat, we will demand for a back seat. It is an education that teaches self-hate, to hate ourselves, to hate anything about us as Africans, as Kikuyu, as a Luo, as a Kalenjin. It is an education that we have associated with the level of intelligence is simply measured based on how good you can speak in English. And it is an education that makes sense, but we are not able to make meaning out of it. Because something can make sense, but if you have not made meaning out of it, it cannot help you. So I'm wondering what can we do with our education so that the education can be education that make meaning, not just making sense, that does not teach us self-hate, but teach us how to love ourselves. And finally, again, as one of the teachers, I usually feel funny how we only associate formal education with education. So when we talk of education, we only mean going to class. Yes, really informal education, the education at home, the education, how the elders who are teaching our people, the aunties, through the stories, the following, the elderly people, the community. We don't see that as education. And so Dr. Wandia as an educationist can also help us because now, it is two things. For Africans, when you want medicine, you go to pharmacy, and we associate pharmacy with the chemist, with the formal medicine. Education is in classroom. Yes. All this other education at home and what you can do and what we are talking about and this show are not considered education. So what are plans that we can work on the miseducation, especially of Africans, the education that does not help our people? Because you know that the education we had at some point was simply, University of Nairobi was the constituent college of University of London. It was simply meant to teach us basic things like you are able to write, you are able to read. Is it really sufficient? And how do we work so that we are not miseducated? Because there is nothing as dangerous as somebody who have gone through school. I've learned some English, I've some certificates, but I've learned to self-hate anything about Kenya, anything about their community, anything African, and anything about their language. Yet that is what we are churning most of the time. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that question. One of the things I've been talking about is that the school system should not be the only education source of education that people get. The counties were given the responsibility in the constitution to provide libraries. There should be libraries in every sub-county so that people who are not able to go to school, not able to, but so that people are always learning. They don't need to depend on the syllabus and on the teacher to learn anything from outside. And the library is also where you provide technology so that if people, for example, Samburu want to talk to people from Tana River about anything, they hear maybe people in Tana River are doing something very interesting and they want to learn about it, you set up a Zoom call. The community comes to the library and listens to the Zoom conversation, and the other community on the other side does it. And they can do now this worldwide. So libraries are a good place for people to get books, interact with the rest of the world, and then you don't even have to throw balloons all around the place. You make the what do you call it, the public library in the local community, the place where people can access internet and even now get help with, using computers, emails, accessing Zoom, getting to meet communities outside. That has not been done. Another source of information is culture. Culture is where people come together and process information and share it together. The culture sector of Kenya has been so battered by censorship, by police, by morality police in the name of Christianity. And because of that, the kinds of things that Kenyans can process and inform themselves about through cultural spaces is not being done. So that is another place where people can access information. The idea of a properly functioning society is to have as many as many options as possible in terms of information, discussion, learning, access. That's what is supposed to happen, so that we do not rely on the school for everything. In fact, part of our problem right now is that we are relying on the school for all education, and the school cannot cope with the weight. It's not possible. So even, the museums, these are the forums where now you can get the elders to come and talk to the people, or you can use cultural festivals, or you can use all these other forums for people to learn. The problem is that all those have been shut down. Artists especially suffer. They really suffer. They can't get spaces. The spaces are grabbed. Now, the other day I saw that Uhuru Gardens has been closed off from the public. It's parks, especially in Nairobi, people, I want you to hear me. green spaces is where people come together. So if these spaces are being grabbed, then it means that the only source for people to access information is now the schools. And the schools cannot cope with all the information that people need. So that we need to open up education to include culture, arts, history, performances. All those must be part of the Kenyan education experience. And we must provide libraries. Provide libraries in every sub-county so that if people need to find information, they can go to the library and check. So now the self-hatred is part of the refusal to allow those spaces. It's not just what the content in the school system. It's also the fact that we cannot access local information even in other places. And even if you do, that information is rendered irrelevant by the economy. So you're not going to have those elders. And me, I've been saying we need a committee of elders to talk about education. Not even to give policy, just to talk. Just to talk. We televise, we sit at the feet of elders and we listen. Yeah. So you see, the problem with the economy as it stands is that kind of knowledge is considered irrelevant. We are told it's irrelevant to the economy. So you Kenyans, when you keep repeating this relevance thing, you can't now come and complain that your cultures are not part of the economy. It's because you keep saying with these elites and these KEPSAs and I don't know who else, you keep saying that information is irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. We have to stop valuing things only by the money. We have to value ourselves. So if we want historical knowledge about ourselves, if we want cultural knowledge about ourselves, let us support the arts, let's support publishing, let's call for public libraries, and let's stop bad-mouthing the people who are doing this work. They are very relevant. Yeah.
All right. Muchendu, ukipiga takoli yako ya siku?
Yes, I want to answer the caller who actually challenged me on when I said that business are closing in Nyamakema on production. There are three things that makes production efficient in any country. One is the ease of doing business. The other one is the tax regime. And the third one is the cost of production. Now, the reason why we no longer produce, it is because the ease of doing business, as much as the World Bank has scaled Kenya almost 40 places up by improving on the ease of doing business, today BITOK, if you want to register your company, it can take you up to 6 months before your company is approved for business. Look at the legal requirement when you are doing business with government. If your company is new, there is some businesses, regardless of whether you have the capacity or not, you cannot do. There is the issue of 30% ownership. That for any foreigner to come and invest in this country, 30% has to belong to a Kenyan citizen. It is one of the most abused opportunities because these guys who are in the registry of companies abuse that policy. The other issue is the tax regime. It is Kenya is one of the most taxed, has the most taxed citizen in the sub-Saharan Africa. Now, I don't have a problem with being taxed as much as they can. I have a problem with being taxed with zero value for that tax. Today, one of the most taxed nations in the world is Switzerland. But Switzerland, they gradually pay for that tax because they see value for the tax. As a matter of fact, the presidency and the leadership of Switzerland is actually a rotating one. It is actually a rotating one. That tells you they necessarily do not care who is the leader because they have working policies on the ground that help the wananchi get satisfied by what the government does for them. So therefore, the tax regime in this country has kept people away from doing business in Africa, producing the same things. I told you, today, Huawei phones are being produced in our neighbors here in Kigali because they have made a neighboring environment for investors to feel safe investing their billions here. Look at the energy cost. Cost of energy in this country. it is crazy. Most businesses, international businesses who have closed shop in Kenya are going to Egypt. Today, Egypt is one of the countries that has one of the efficient energy systems in the world. We continue to use number one, the 240 volts, which consumes a lot of power. We continue to use what we call a single grid. In other countries, from an engineer's perspective, there is something that we call microgrids. Microgrids is like, say Nyahururu, we have a fall in Nyahururu.
Yes.
BITOK is able to put up turbines in Nyahururu and produce hydroelectric power in portions that can serve Nyahururu town, for instance. Instead of curbing BITOK from doing so, you encourage BITOK to do it, give him the technical know-how, allow him to produce power and sell to the Nyahururu residents, let him pay the required tax to KRA. That means if Olkaria fails, you don't have to have the entire Nairobi out of power. Because the other day, you remember there was a time we went for 18 hours, the entire city without power. That is the problem of having what we call a single grid. Rather than have microgrids, that the power that serves eastern part of Nairobi, it's not the same as the one serving Upper Hill and the one serving Gong Road. That is it. Actually devolve Kenya Power into 47 units. Let every county have its own grid that they can produce power. Because one of the things that made, despite that the fact Dangote came and met the president, and he expressed his interest to do a cement company here, two things he has said that failed him from investing in this country: cost of production and the tax regime and the ease of doing business, that he had to automatically give somebody 30% of his ownership. Today, Dangote is producing cement in Ethiopia. And I told you, go to the shop today, Dangote cement is imported from Ethiopia to this country, and it is still cheaper than the locally produced cement. Why? Because Ethiopia have addressed the cost of production, the ease of doing business. So if we are importing and we are not producing, it is not the fault of those people who are doing business in Nyamakema, so that you should go crossing their businesses. It is the government that is supposed to provide and give an enabling environment for somebody to actually produce in this country. That is why even toothpick, we are importing them.
But let me tell you, from the education system, that's the kind of person we are producing. I say no shame, with no shame, although I'm sure I'll be attacked, but that is what the education system is producing. These people are acting the way they've been educated. So when you see teachers smashing phones, what are they teaching the next generation? They are teaching the next generation that you can't negotiate, that you can't diversify, that you can't be creative in finding solutions to other things, and that you must always have absolute control. If you don't have absolute control, destroy.
Which is very wrong.
That is now the mentality within the school system that is translated into the economy. And that's why you find the government will not open up. Because that's how the education system has taught them.
Monopolized.
And, monopolize, control. If you can't control, destroy. That's the way they are educated.
I once corrected my teacher for giving the wrong answer in a math class. Usitake jua ile beating nilipata for correcting. Anyway, this is the problem we have. You also see people like in Kiambu. We have Bishop Muitu hapo anajiita Bishop Gakuyo of the real estate. That guy stole from my own mother, but he has the audacity to order and to warn people from coming.
You're sure you can verify that?
Yes, I can. My mother is the leader of a group called Vigio Success Women Group. that invested money in Gakuyo real estate because he was selling migoda maguta na goko na ikuru na ingine migoda maguta. They were selling. So as a women group that is proactive, they invested money in Gakuyo real estate, and Gakuyo decided to consume na kupotea na pesa. Up to date, my mother's group has never been repaid the money they paid to Gakuyo. They have not been allocated the land they intended to buy. But I've seen that guy over and over and over, warning people, calling his bloggers to take videos of him in his house, insulting people. We want to tell government, are you telling us that Jubilee government is in the business of sanctifying those people who are stealing from the public? Because right now, he is singing the government song, so that the government does not go after him for stealing from the public. I remember Governor Kabogo telling the people of Kiambu to stop investing in that company. Today they are crying. And I agree with my sister here that Kenyans have been taught that way. They continue investing money in places they know their money is going to go. They continue investing their small wealth in places they know, because the education they have received has not actually given them the view in the future. Today, BITOK, if I want to own land, I don't need a company to buy land. I don't need a company, but I would probably need one if the education system produced a dependent person. I have to depend on you, I have to depend on somebody else. Nonetheless, I want to tackle the good bishop, Gakuyo of the Calvary Center, sijui in Thika or wherever. Please, Mr. Bishop Gakuyo, rudishia watu pesa bwana. Hata kama unahubiria watu kwenda binguni, we need to live well here. We cannot allow you to stay in Runda while we are languishing in poverty and you took our money. Tafadhali, rudishia the Gio Success Women Group pesa yao. Hiyo pesa walikuwa wametoa kwa nguvu. Labda sisi ndio tunapatianga our mom some small money to invest there. Please, rudishia watu pesa, siasa wachana nayo, kwanza utulipe. Stop telling people not to come to Kiambu. Kiambu is part of the Republic of Kenya, and as far as the Constitution is concerned, the freedom of movement is guaranteed in the Constitution. You can restrict people from coming to your house, from coming to your property, from coming to your church. But if they are coming to Kiambu, you have absolutely no authority whatsoever to restrict anybody from coming to Kiambu. So I therefore say to Bishop Gakuyo, shame on you for giving Kiambu a bad name. Shame on you, shame on you, shame on you.
But you do realize also...
Bishop Gakuyo, ndirakwira na Gikuyu, Kiambu ti yaku, nigetha twikage ni uri oyaga ni uri ikaraga nja gwaku koya video kwira andu matigoke Kiambu. No ugiria andu guka gwaku, no ugiria andu guka kanitha yaku, no ugiria andu kugura migunda yaku, no ugiria andu guka wabici ciaku, no ndungigiria mundu guka Kiambu tondu uhoro wa gucera Kenya handu yothe ya Roma witikiritio ni gatiba karia twehitukiirie githiini wa 2010. Oguo we ni utumite Kiambu ige na ritwa riuru ni gutinda ogika ma video ma kuruma andu. Utige kuruma andu Gabagone atigire gutwika gavana utigane nake na utige kuruma andu utiriti andu na mutugo tore we ongienda gutiritwo. Ni tuiguite thoni muno wewe unaibisha Kiambu.
But let me also say that actually the education system produces people like that, because once you tell people that everything is about exams and passing, and you're torturing them, breaking their phones, spraying them with the nini, what is it? Once you treat kids like that for 16 years, and now I think it's going to be 17. Once you treat people like that, they come out of the system saying, I have gone through the abuse, now you pay me back. And if they're not going to be paid back with a job, they will steal. In fact, even when they get a job, they'll still steal. So you can see, I think Kenyans need to understand that a curriculum is only half the education you get from a system. The habits, the unsaid messages are more powerful in an education system than the actual syllabus that you give people. The education system is educating Kenya. The schooling system, let me call it that. The schooling system is educating, training Kenyans to come out of that system and expect to be rewarded. And if they are not rewarded, they will take the reward themselves. So we want now an education system that is humane, that where parents care for all children, not only their children, because your children are going to get married. Do you want them to marry thieves and robbers? So you can't just keep on telling us, oh, my child and exams, oh, my child and the job. You have to think of all children the way our mothers taught us. You have to think of all Kenyan children, whether you know them or not, that they are getting an education system and that we all respect everybody and want the best for them, whether we know them or not. Unless we change that selfish, competitive mentality and that intellectual laziness that is taught by the education system, you can get 10,000 degrees, but it will not help you. The country will still be being run down by thieves and robbers, and nobody will condemn them because even the church is telling people to forgive and forget. That's where our problem is. It's not whether people are doing carpentry or plumbing. It is this other messaging that we are sending and the brutality of our school system and our humiliation of our kids. We should be ashamed.
Right.
Because that is now what is training our kids to come out of the system and expect to be rewarded and to not respect other Kenyans. And that's why they can steal and feel nothing about it.
Right. Thank you so much, Daktari. Thank you so much for coming in. Asante pia Muchendu kwa kuja. Nashukuru sana Daktari. Ili tumekutime. Pole sana leo tulichelewa kidogo, lakini watu tunaanzanga hapa saa 10 ya usiku alafu tunaanza kukaskade pole pole. So next time we expect to have you on time. I have to see you again. Muchendu, asante sana kwa kuja. Nasikia kote gara mgondu. Mgonda.
Maguta. Na by the way, wale wananisikiza wajue ile pahali imebaki karibu na Nairobi unaweza pata kitu mzuri ni Njoya. Yes, Njoya is specifically around my home is 21 kilometers from the bypass, the southern bypass.
Kwa kana rafiki yangu anaitwa Stella Kiguta.
Exactly. There is a very prime land. We have a bypass from the Goto going to Mutarakwa, Maimahio Road. So if you want a place, you can be coming to Nairobi within 25 minutes. Kuja Njoya, mimi wakati sipigi siasa na sifanyi serikali kazi, pia mimi ni broker. Lakini mimi sitakunyang'anya, sina company. You pay directly to the owner of the land. Upatie Kaisari yake.
Haya, sasa hii ndio unafaa ulipe sasa pesa advertisement. Watu wameonda magoda. Account anapotengeneza, make sure Muchendu does not leave the studio without an invoice ya advertisement. Watu magoda. Lakini kama unataka magoda pale Njoya, tafuta Muchendu. Ujue tutafanya kazi vipi. Alright, the Tacklers guys, we love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. We apologize for being late today. Lakini tunawapenda zaidi and we hope to wish you guys a very good Thursday. They say Thursday is a new Friday. Alright guys, go and have fun. The tackle ends now. See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.